What up? How's it going, man?
Good morning, people.
People?
Alondra,
Would that be a little
Brian.
less connected?
I am a man of the people.
Clearly.
Glad to be here.
One
Glad
of
to
the
be here
ways
this
you know
morning.
you're a man of the people is when you call them people.
You people.
You
people.
Easy
But
now.
excellent
Easy now.
Netflix show, by the way. If
What?
you haven't watched You People, you absolutely need to watch it.
Okay.
Great comedy. Rom-com. Interracial rom-com.
Okay.
So, what's on tap today?
Well, Oscar Lozada, for one thing.
That trial's happening.
That trial's happening.
If I were the victims on that one,
You'd be dead.
well, I meant the family members of the victims. Oh, low brow, dude. Low brow. You know,
This is where I'm at this morning, man.
That is something I would expect me to say, not you. If I were the surviving family members, man, talk about a long road to justice.
I hate myself so
See, I'm
much.
trying to get it back on the tracks here.
I appreciate it. I do.
Talk about a
If
long
you were the victim's family.
talk about a long journey to justice, man.
Yeah.
Murder, kidnapping of a little child.
Uh-huh. Fleeing to, I think it was Argentina, then Mexico.
Yeah, fleeing to another country. He's arrested. They rescue the child. How old is the child now?
He confesses in Mexico, but apparently it doesn't count here.
Oh, I didn't. Well, that may be some kind of weird. That's Mexico. I mean,
What is that? Like what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico?
I don't know. I'm a lawyer. I'm a Louisiana lawyer. I'm a darn good Louisiana lawyer. Does Mexico have laws? Yes, they have
got
laws.
some.
Yeah, there's no wall, but there's laws.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I thought I started off by dropping it off the rails.
So that trial is happening. So it's not I wouldn't say it's a cold case in the traditional sense, but I'll let you set it up.
Yeah, that's what we'll set it up. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll talk about it. More than a decade after Oscar Lozada allegedly killed and dismembered his wife, a jury has been seated in the accused killer's murder trial. The selection process started Monday morning, continued into Tuesday afternoon, with a jury of 9 women and 3 men being seated. The defense previously objected to having a mostly female jury, given the nature of the allegations. Sylviane Fink Lozada disappeared nearly 12 years ago. Her body was never found. After Sylviane's disappearance, Oscar fled the country with their young daughter. In court Tuesday, there was compelling testimony from the couple's former neighbor, who was in communication with Oscar in the months after Lozada left for Venezuela. It was Venezuela, not Argentina. In those texts, Oscar said he and Sylviane got into a fight over an alleged affair she was having. Lozada says she walked out after that and never came back. He said that he doesn't think Sylviane is okay and that it's possible his wife could have hurt herself.
So this gives me the rare opportunity to use a phrase I seldom get to use and I relish. Corpus delicti, where you have a murder without a body. Mm-hmm. You have a murder without a dismembered body.
Right.
How do you prove the murder?
No, you don't. You don't. This is basically he's running the Carol Baskin route.
Right.
Okay.
Right. For those who don't know, Carol Baskin
from Joe Exotic Tiger King. The internet says Carol Baskin killed her husband and fed him to the tigers.
Yeah, fed him to the tigers.
She says he ran away to Argentina, which is probably why I was making the cross reference.
It's a big meat country. It's a big red meat country.
In the prosecution's opening statement, however, they referenced an interview with Mexican authorities where Oscar admitted to strangling his wife.
Well, that's not. I mean, I'm not trying to be a defense attorney here, but strangling
That's why we have you on.
Strangling like killing her, strangle her like it's Friday night. I mean,
I thought I started off poorly. Thank you for flushing us down the toilet.
What do you look? Just because I'm not into strangling my partner doesn't mean that that's not a thing.
We're gonna break here. We're gonna break here before the FCC steps in. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. Every Wednesday we do Legally Served. I have no idea why.
When I grow up,
that was awesome.
When I grow up, I want to be a heckler at the State of the Union. What does she scream? Liar? Like, what does she? I didn't watch the speech.
Marjorie?
Yeah.
My God, she made him look smart. That's not an easy task. Shout out to Marjorie Taylor Greene for making that imbecile look like a genius.
I think, Alondra, you need to understand, by the way, I'm not hating on Mexicans. I'm hating on Mexico.
How does that make it better?
Shout out to Byron. You know, I had a double date with Byron and his beautiful girlfriend on. Well, I know his significant other. She is a teacher at a school I used to attend, and so she and I have known each other for years, and so they got a chance to meet Natalie, and it was really nice. And look, Byron didn't chop us up and put us in a bag. I mean, it was great.
Deborah Todd says he didn't say God bless America at the end. He rambled with the socialist, anti-wealthy, anti-corporate garbage. Hard to watch, but I did. So what I was stammering through in the beginning, Deborah, was leading up to it went unifying and then divisive. And then when he closed out with the State of Our Union is strong, I found that interesting because every other president leads with the State of Our Union is strong.
Do you think Deborah would have been happy had he said God bless America at the end? Do you think that would have been the tipping point for her?
So I don't think that would have, no, that wouldn't have been. But
she would have been dissatisfied.
It's kind of the icing on the cake when he doesn't, right?
I do like a good Catholic. I do love me a good Catholic.
They didn't recover the squirrel monkeys.
They arrested the guy, but they didn't recover the monkeys. I have it in the outside.
Poor monkeys.
So I'm debating about giving blood today.
I'm not
Rotary.
giving blood.
I'm a little under the weather. I'm not sick. I'm just a little bleh. So I kind of I know that if I give blood, I'm going to feel more bleh.
Yeah.
And then I got to go teach this afternoon. So,
yeah.
I started out with 19 students, Alondra, and now I only have 15.
What?
I said I started out with 19 students in my class, and now I only have 15. I don't know what normal attrition is.
Anna says, did we do a wellness check on Brian this morning? His Twitter feed was on fire last night. So it's one of my guilty pleasures is live tweeting the State of the Union. And I'll always toss the first one out, say it out loud before I tweet it, and my wife will immediately smack me down. So what I was going to tweet, first of all, is he's making his way through the room.
Yeah.
So much hair to smell, none of it underage.
I know.
Can't put that out there. I'm like, you're probably right.
I say go for it.
So the problem is,
controversy.
So here's the problem with that tweet. You know me. I don't have a problem with that tweet, but the problem with you making that tweet is everything else you say about his State of the Union address is colored and affected by that apparent bias of that tweet.
I don't give a shit about bias. Of course I'm biased.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm supposed to worry about that?
Well, clearly, if you're not afraid of the smell, I mean,
it's a large part of my job is having an opinion.
Keith says Biden is not a good Catholic.
Not my place to judge other Catholics.
Yeah.
That's between him and God.
I just pointed it out because of the God Bless America thing.
My favorite. So instead, I tweeted, well, before the speech, I tweeted, I watched Night Court on NBC tonight. Couldn't focus on the content because I was too distracted by the canned applause for an 80s retread. This is the perfect State of the Union pregame. Over under on names that POTUS remembers as he glad hands the room. DraftKings and FanDuel, may I suggest 3.5?
Not even half.
3.5.
You didn't get the last name?
Well, no. If he gets 4, you if you took the over and he gets 4, you win. If you took the over and he gets 3, you lose. The National Weather Service alerts us that both Baton Rouge and the State of the Union are under a dense fog advisory.
Have we ever had a State of the Union? Have we ever had a State of the Union speech where everybody was happy? No. Right?
I disagree with that.
Who? Give me a speech.
Okay, so
State of the Union speech where the president had dementia.
I'm pretty sure we have.
That's a separate.
Law of averages says we have to.
Okay.
I would argue that 2002.
Who was president back then?
George W. Bush.
Okay.
It was the first State of the Union after 9/11.
Okay.
It's kind of like when he threw the first pitch out at the.
I was proud of him that day.
Yeah.
Threw a strike.
I mean,
Like, I know this is crap I shouldn't care about, but remember when the guy threw a shoe at him?
yeah.
I'm like, my boy.
I've enjoyed watching his.
Got a dense fog advisory out there. Here with a full forecast, WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo.
The relationship he seems to have developed with the Obamas,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with politics, right? It's
It has
just
everything to do with being an American.
he's a good guy. He's a,
Obama's letters of like how to be like a.
In the limelight,
Yeah,
presidential
but-
daughter.
Well, I mean, they had it the worst. They didn't make it easy on themselves, but they had it pretty bad.
Yeah.
so we need to chat. I'm thinking about a run to San Antonio. I'm thinking about a San Antonio run.
I'm going next summer.
How long is the drive?
From here?
Yeah. Or drive. I'm thinking about driving. It's 1 day drive.
637 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. 67 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. And yes, budget yourself a couple of extra minutes for the fog this morning. I was behind a guy on the way over here, maybe doing 10 up Government Street, maybe doing 10. Fella in the white truck, Chevy Silverado. You started my day off wrong, man.
Well, isn't there a road diet on Government? Aren't you supposed to enjoy the easy driving?
Not at 10. Not at 10 miles per hour.
Not at 10 miles per hour.
I'm like, bro, school zones are twice this.
Sorry.
Any Hoosers.
So you know the number one question?
Corpus deliciousness. What are we talking about?
Delecti. Delecti. So that's one of these questions I get asked sometimes is how can you have a murder without a body?
Good question.
How do you prove murder?
You
And
can't.
I hate to, I seldom say this about people.
Uh-huh.
You know that I seldom say that there are such things as stupid questions. We absolutely can have murder without bodies, right? You have to prove that there was a murder, right?
Mhm.
So like in this instance, you can't get in because they're excluding the Mexican confession of strangulation.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone disappears and they disappear in such a way that is uncharacteristic of their life. Now, is it possible that Alondra could decide tomorrow, screw this radio thing, I'm going to...
You're getting killed again this morning.
No.
Alondra.
Is it? No, she's not. She decides tomorrow, she wakes up and she goes, I'm moving to Alaska and I'm not going to tell anybody.
Okay.
That is possible. But I mean, reality is, wouldn't she tell somebody? Wouldn't you mention it to somebody? You absolutely can have a murder without a body. That goes to say that you can't have a murder without a dead body is like saying, well, if you're really good at hiding the body, you'll never get convicted. And we know that that's not true.
So I think it's very possible to wake up one day and just leave.
Yeah,
That's the song, "The Way" by Fastball. Remember that song? You
just referenced Fastball.
I did.
What year was that?
Oh,
this is our
98, 99?
Yeah, this is our second late 90s, early 2000s reference.
It's but this old couple. They had a late night together. They decided, you know what, tomorrow, screw it, we're going.
I think the issue is in this case, it's the disappearance coupled with the and the kidnapping is something that needs to be proven. But I mean, it sure does smell like kidnapping.
It's the easy part. She went with him. You got proof there.
Well, I mean,
the death and dismemberment without the dismembered body.
Is the kidnapping easy though? If I take my kids somewhere,
Oh, you got to get her to agree to, like, hey, yeah, he actually told me.
Take my kid somewhere, am I kidnapping my kid?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It sure does look funny, right? The whole thing smells funny. Look, he's what, Argentinian, Venezuelan? What is he?
I think Venezuelan.
Mexican?
Yeah,
He's not Mexican.
He went to Venezuela and then to Mexico.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure a Baton Rouge jury won't have a problem convicting him.
Wow. Okay, that sentence just has hints of racism, if not overt tones. Okay,
You mean a Baton Rouge jury wouldn't look at someone who's not one of, quote unquote, one of them and convict him? No.
Wow.
He had good reason. I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you this much back on the rails. 9 women? Like, how did his defense team let that happen?
Seating the jury was the main part of what I wanted to talk about here. Yes, how did the defense allow 9 women on the jury?
So first of all, you can't discriminate based on race, gender, and sex. However, a good defense attorney can strategically target jurors that will be favorable and strategically target ones that will be unfavorable and find reasons to exclude them. I just don't like this whole, well, Judge, I object that we have 9 women. No, dude, that's your job. Do your job.
Well,
New England Patriots.
Yes, I completely agree with this, but let's get to the how. Like, would there be reasons for there to be 9 women on this jury? Would the defense actually be able to say, yeah, I did this on purpose?
So jury selection 101. The parish grabs a whole bunch of people for jury duty.
Mm-hmm.
They put them in a group called a veneer, and they bring them upstairs to the courtroom. And then the clerk draws at random 14, 16 names to put in the box for a panel of potential jurors. Okay, so some of it's luck of the draw, right? I mean, some of it's white, black, male, female. You don't have a lot of say over that. But most good defense attorneys, most good prosecutors are micro determining, okay, these are the jurors most likely to be favorable to me.
Yes.
These people in this place in their life, this demographic will probably be favorable. It's not always true, Brian. It's not always true, Alondra. It makes certain assumptions. It makes certain stereotypes. But remember, jury selection, speed dating. It's not like I get 6 months to know you. I get a speed date with you, and I'm making certain calculated decisions based on that limited access. I think in this case, though, where you have a potential domestically violent defendant accused of not just killing his wife, but killing his wife in a brutal way, and then kidnapping and absconding with the child, maybe the mindset, Brian, was I don't want dads on this jury.
Okay.
Because it goes back to the Jody Plauché theory.
Would be protectors.
Yeah, they'll be protectors. And I mean, maybe that was the thought, and then we were going to object to it. I don't understand, right? But the truth be told, there's no good potential juror on this one. That's going to be a problem. That's a problem.
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so look, what is the evidence they have in this case? They have a lot of circumstantial evidence, right?
Right.
We know that flight is generally
associated with guilt or implies guilt,
right.
But it doesn't mean guilt.
Now, leaving Las Vegas is different than flight. So, like, if you're living somewhere and you have no ties to it and you're like, okay, well, I have no longer a reason to live here anymore, then you can move. That's okay.
Yeah.
But again, the scenario where Alondra is married and she just absconds to Alaska after murdering and butchering her husband, I mean...
Well, no, not murdering and butchering, but husband disappears. Right. Which...
Oh, she'd be such a Black Widow. Alondra would be a Black Widow. No, she wouldn't. She's a sweet girl. Sweet girl.
Keep digging, man.
For a Mexican.
Once you're in the
For
hole,
a Mexican.
Wow. District Attorney Hilla Moore says the prosecution will seek the maximum sentence of life in prison if the jury convicts. That part of this has no question whatsoever, right?
I think you've got a good pathway to conviction, and I think, life makes sense in this one, right?
Absolutely.
He checks all the boxes. He kidnapped a little girl, which is a factor in this.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God they were able to rescue the child.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Wasn't this a case where the sheriff's detective, spent years trying to get, I can't think of the guy's name.
From 2011 all the way to 2018 was when they got a break in the case. And yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head either.
It was so...
the last couple articles that I have in front of me don't have
when he
him
did
listed.
the press conference, it was so moving. He's a good detective.
Yep.
And look, whatever justice looks like in here, by the way, this dude's probably not going to do well in prison.
You don't think?
No. Fellow inmates don't like it when you kidnap little kids.
Or dismember your wife?
Well, that's less of a bad experience. And
we got a break here. When we come back, can we talk about this balloon?
Yes.
All right, that's coming up next on Legally Served on Talk 107.3. My sincerest apologies to everyone who's somewhere around lunch today just randomly is going to be going, anyone can see the road that they walked on was paved in gold. And it's always summer, they'll never get cold.
Is that their only
It's
song?
going to be in my head. Fastball? Yeah. Where were they going without ever?
How much money did they make on that song?
All of it. All of the money they have is just from that song.
Hold on, let me Google them. It's a rock band. From Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
They're still active?
No, they're not.
That's what it says. They started in 2021. They started a Patreon campaign where they released new music as well as demos of their songs and stories behind them.
And this is
Out of Their Head and The Way.
Huh?
They had 2 hits.
What was the other one?
Out of My Head and The Way.
Out of My Head was them.
Yeah.
Completely different tune.
I'm just telling you their hits.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing with you.
Net worth. Just shy of $1 million. That's not bad.
Just shy of $1 million?
Yeah, the lead singers. You know, if I was going to do an advertisement,
Right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like
they
kind of
buffer,
like
they buffer it a little bit.
kind of like height in a NBA program. If you were gonna do what?
If I was going to do an advertisement as a lawyer on radio, I think Condit needs to be my guy.
Yeah, no, totally.
Oh,
Got him.
Chew on that D.
is he a guy that I can go to for relationship advice? I mean, I can't give relationship advice because I'm, but
Yes.
but like, because he tells you don't go to get relationship advice from somebody who's been
I would-
married, divorced for a couple times.
I finally got that spot out of the system. Whoever put that promo in the system put it on like 8 different cart numbers. So I know. I just kept deleting it and kept deleting it and it kept popping back up again. It's like when we had that spot that was coming in from Westwood One, from Compass, from CBS, and from 8 other sources. Anybody who like old school listeners remember this. My number 2 doesn't look like a number 2. Y'all remember that disgusting ass spot? It
Wasn't
came
there
in from everywhere.
wasn't there a Vitality commercial as well, like an erectile dysfunction commercial at some
Half the
point?
commercials on 104.5.
They're all like.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I guess it's the right like.
somebody texted me that a good friend of
Renee says that commercial was the worst.
the number 2,
Yeah.
absolute worst. But it kept like it sounded like we were the ones who were playing it, but it was a network commercial. So after Your Money Now, you'd hear it.
What was the
After
song?
CBS News, you'd hear it. It was sent to us from Westwood One to cover stuff that we can't clear the spots when we do them.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went, it had my number 2.
What was the fastball song you said? The Way?
The Way.
Patreon. They're on Patreon now.
So's Carrie Guglielmo.
Where has the Googs been?
Fairhope, Alabama.
I've not seen him.
Is Fairhope the place where everybody's moving?
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
Birmingham is like
It's on the other side of Spain. It's on the other side of Mobile, near Spanish Fort. It's clean.
That's the one. They made up their mind.
Not a fan of this commercial either.
It's not terribly far from the
and
beach.
they started packing. No. I understand there's good fishing around there too.
Pajamagram.
Hell yeah.
She sounds like
You know what commercial I
she
hate?
sounds like she's talking dirty.
That's the point.
It's a lingerie commercial.
Yeah.
The one on the LSU one that's like, Dad, you're the GOAT. Or no, the driving high one is
Learn
the
how to talk
worst.
teen.
The driving high one.
See, but nobody knows those commercials because they play over local breaks. So
Byron.
there it is. They left before the sun came up that day. Where we go. 652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP 67 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. As Fastball lets us know, you can just wake up one day and disappear. Attorney Franz Borchardt is for legally certain.
Wow. I guess this defendant was a one-hit wonder too.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we have these laws about drones.
Yeah,
like
we do.
there's state laws.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
there's
by the way,
federal
we're
laws.
packing up the Lozada case and moving on.
I'm not. I don't need a crystal ball.
We've
This guy's
chopped
getting,
that one up enough.
Oh, he's going to get convicted.
What? Oh, no. Oh, let's move on.
Chopped up. Really?
Unintentional.
So we have these drone laws, like state and federal drone laws. And so like this balloon, this
Let's talk about this balloon.
This private citizen Chinese drone, air quotes, like had to have violated like all sorts of federal
laws.
All laws. Do we know if anybody took shots at it?
See, I don't know because it's a lot bigger than I would have ever imagined, and it was super duper high up in the air.
Well, so
you're not just like going in the backyard with a 9mm and firing. You need like a 50 cal.
So question number one is how big is big? Like, are we talking like the size of a car? We're talking like a Zeppelin. I mean, it's a pretty big thing, right? By the way, genius.
Roughly
Genius.
200 foot tall.
Wow. Genius idea, by the way. Genius idea. Put a little drone, a little spy drone on a balloon. They recovered it, though.
Yeah.
They recovered it. So I'm sure, we could have shot it down. We could have shot the whole thing down. We could have blown it up. We could have Top Gunned that thing.
I don't know. Well, they did once it got over the off the coast of South Carolina.
I want it blown up immediately.
So we have laws against drones.
Right.
What would be recourse for anybody who feels they were violated because of this?
Yeah, no recourse. Not on this one. I mean, you theoretically could sue the country of China, knock yourself out. If you could discern who the private Chinese individual, assuming it's not a Chinese government drone, you could sue that. But I mean, realistically, there's not a lot you can do. Most of the time we see the state laws protect people from private citizens who have drones. And there's a lot of cool law. By the way, there's a lot of cool Louisiana laws that deal with where you can fly a drone, where you can't.
Okay.
For example, I mean, the places you'd most likely want to fly a drone, like Tiger Stadium, you can't do that.
Right.
Okay, not unless you have special permission from LSU. You can't do that, right? You can't do it in certain public places. You can't do it at certain heights. What we're seeing is these devices, besides being recreationally used, they're being used for surveying land, spying on countries, all sorts of crazy things. So, yeah. I mean, I totally had this image of Maverick just blowing this thing out of the water.
Well, it's kind of how it went. That's kind of how it went down once it went down.
I saw the article where the Navy picks it up in the ocean.
Yeah,
maybe 200 feet. That's a big balloon.
Big old balloon.
Like, how often do you think this happens?
That's the other part, because I don't know. There's allegedly one over Latin America right now. The story per CNN, spy balloon part of a broader Chinese military surveillance operation, says U.S. Intel sources.
How did we know it was Chinese?
How do we know the balloon was Chinese?
Yeah. Did it have like Chinese writing on it?
I don't know, because they knew it was Chinese before they shot it down.
Well, that's what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I mean, like, how did we know it wasn't, does it have like made in China on it? Or
I'm going to get confused on the timeline here. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this story this week because we had a whole lot going on locally. But if I'm recalling this right, the Chinese government said it was an individual Chinese citizen
So there was an admission.
surveying weather, and it got off course. So, yeah, China was like, you're going to see that up there. It's no big deal. It belongs to, like, Joe.
is that an act of war?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, now, my assumption is that we have little drones doing drone stuff too. My assumption is that I'm not naive.
Okay.
Like, I mean, is that a stretch?
No, I don't think that's a stretch.
Right.
But, 200-foot balloon, that's kind of a little different. Like, you want to be seen at that point. That's taunting.
Well, that's a good point, Brian. I mean, it's not subtle. It's not stealth.
Right.
That thing, there was nothing stealth about that big giant. Now,
No.
I did enjoy
that is flagrant. That's a flagrant 2 in the NBA.
Yeah, I did enjoy the editing of people writing messages on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was beautiful.
The memes have been fantastic. The internet remains undefeated.
Yes. So, could military drones have brought down over land? Yes, they could have. I think the concern was hurting somebody.
Right.
So here's the other question. This is the question I got asked this week. Can I shoot down a drone that is over my property?
That's exactly where we wanted to go for this entire segment. So
I know you're ready. So the answer is you probably shouldn't, but ... If you did, you might be able to argue. I mean, there's this thing called curtilage. That's not my word. I mean, corpus delicti, curtilage. Curtilage is this imaginary space that surrounds your property. It goes up to the heavens. Now, FAA has access, like a right to use it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Right.
So this imaginary zone, this curtilage, like if you go into that zone, it's like it's game on. I'm not saying shoot down drones with AR-15s. I'm just saying you have a good argument for, hey, this drone was in my backyard while my wife was like tanning, and I think they were voyeurizing me or voyeuring me.
Is it harder to prove one way or the other in that? Like, because to me, do you not own all the airspace above your house?
Would you've been watching Ocean's 11?
Ocean's 13.
Ocean's 13.
Ocean's 13.
So what I would say is
Linus makes that pitch.
That's what curtilage is, right? And what I would say is it would be a case-by-case factual determination of, okay, well, where does after you shoot it with your AR-15 or 9mm, you pick which gun you're going to use, shotgun, where does it land? What can we put back together? My advice is don't fly your drones over places where they can get shot, and my advice is call the police and don't shoot them.
Okay, that's fair. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served every Wednesday. Here comes ABC News.